Hey, it's Kevin. Thanks for stopping by on the No BS social media update. Over the holidays, as I was just kind of puttering around, keeping track of what's going on in the world that I don't have to pay attention to, meaning my clients or prospective business or just in general, there was a story about Taylor Swift and what she was doing to kind of create her own Taylor, did they call it Swiftmas, her little Christmas thing, where she actually selected some of her fans and followers online and played Santa Claus for them? Maybe it was Taylor Claus or something like that. But what amazed me was how that, well, probably the biggest recording artist we have right now in the world, okay, she may not be the biggest, but she's one of the top five at least, is still out there doing the right thing socially. And I've talked about this, and I've touched on it a couple of times. I kind of got my start with social media when I was still in radio, and we had this little 16-year-old girl come in on her first radio visit, and we got to talking about social media. She was big into MySpace at the time, and we got to talking about the power of MySpace. That artist, of course, Taylor Swift. Now that what goes back to what? I think it was '05, '06. I think 2005, somewhere in there. I had just started really getting on the social media, what we now call social media bandwagon, and really started to become a believer in it because I saw the power of this connectability. I saw the power of the give and take. You know, being in radio, a medium where you're out there, like I said, in a darkened room talking to people in theory, not knowing if anybody's listening and not having that interaction. That's why it was always good for talk shows and things like that, where they could have give and take, and you'd know if the phones were ringing, you'd know people were listening. Sometimes in the music radio side of it, you just didn't know if people were listening, but you looked at the ratings said they were, you had to take it for granted, but it wasn't necessarily reality. The cool thing with social media is the minute you put something out there, you can see the response. You can see the people connecting and the interacting, and I saw the power to that. So I started dabbling in social media, and now here we are fast forwarding a decade later, and I'm a social media strategist, shaman, philosopher, I don't know what you call it. And 10 years later, that 16-year-old girl is now an adult and is now one of the biggest stars in the world and still doing things the right way. Now, some people will say she went out and did her little Christmas spiel and videotaped it and she should have done it privately and everything like that. You know what? Again, that's a yes or no. But Taylor is taking the power of social media. Taylor is taking the power of, well, the tool and using it not only for her advantage, but to the advantage of those who interact with her. And that's what I always appreciated about her. And while we don't keep in touch as much anymore as we used to, it's truly, she is connected with the fans. She believes in the power of that. She believes in the power of social media. And to me, I'm thinking if the biggest recording artist in the world can do that, why can't you? I'm going to say it's amazing. Now, I will say this. I mean, back in the day, back 10 years ago, Taylor Swift was doing her own MySpace. There was no team behind Taylor Swift. I was able to engage in some projects with her and the record label and do some other artists, and that's kind of how we built Intensity Media into a social media company. But now she's got teams of people. I'd love to be a part of it. There are big-time companies doing this, worldwide companies doing this now. Companies bigger and probably more suited to it than I am, that are on a bigger scale. We like to keep it more engaged. We like to keep it more one-on-one. We like to keep it more close together. And that's why I like working with smaller clients, with recording artists just getting started, with small businesses, with media personalities and things like that. If Taylor Swift can get it, when you've got a lot of money, when you got things going, boy, it's an amazing feel to me. Then I look at some of the artists that I love and respect, like Garth Brooks, like Prince, and I see them struggle with it. I see them and their discomfort with it. And I understand these things. The biggest thing about social media is you have to believe in its power. You have to believe in what it brings. That's why I said earlier, I was a social media shaman. I'm kind of getting that feel. I understand about privacy. I understand about control. I understand about all these tools. But it's a new world we're living in. It's very much the Wild West, as somebody once coined the term about social media. And all the rules are changing all around us. And you either have to hop on the horse and hold on tight and, hope it benefits, or you fall off the horse, kind of like a rodeo. Well, I understand why some people are hesitant. I understand why people of my age, people in their 40s and 50s, are uncomfortable with social media. It's something completely different than what they were used to growing up and used to in the world. But when you look at the millennials, when you look at the kids, when you look at the world we live in today versus 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, 50, 100 years ago, the power we have and the tools we have now, if you're not taking advantage of them, you're making a big mistake. I'm thankful Taylor Swift, while still young, still a millennial, gets that. And still embraces it, and still does something with it. Go back and look at all the stuff Taylor Swift has done around the release of the album, and since then, since she put out the album, she never stops. She understands what it's like to live life in the public eye, and is very good at it, and I'm very proud of her. Another No BS social media update. We discussed the No BS. You want to discuss it in person? We can do it face-to-face. We can do it by phone. We can do it by email. We can do it however you want. but I would love to connect with you online. NoBSSocial.com, where you can find these videos every day. You can also find us at intensitymedia.com. All the information how you can get a hold of me coming up just right now. Thanks. See you next week.